As a documentary and portrait photographer, I've always been around a variety of people of different backgrounds and stories. As a lad from Bradford, there isn't a shortage of experiences to uncover. I've started to have an interest in cars. Unknowingly, I wasn't too far from a few performance or modified vehicles, with West Yorkshire having small groups of car enthusiasts around. Photographers such as James and Shot and RS Productions have quickly surfaced on social media platforms, photographing unique builds in creative ways. As a documentary photographer, I was quickly interested in the interaction between a photographer and a car enthusiast, with cars becoming somewhat of a piece of art similar to photography.
Hello, my name is Reggie, and I am probably a content creator, but for some people I'm a photographer, for some people I'm a videographer.
What would you say makes a good car photographer?
Do not try to reinvent the wheel. That's what makes a great car photographer.
What would you say is your strengths and weaknesses in what you do in your job?
So I'm the one who tries to reinvent the wheel. That's the problem. I'm still on that stage, but sometimes I did fail a lot, and sometimes I managed to pull off something that everyone was like, "What the fuck? Like this is fucking amazing." So that's what probably is the issue of mine. Trying to reinvent the wheel.
What's your favorite thing about working with cars and other people who are also like-minded and also into cars?
This is gonna be a weird one, but I love to see. So when you're driving a car on a road, which is like a Porsche or a Ferrari or fucking whatever, a young little boy who fucking looks at that car, and you can see the fire in his eyes. That's what probably is the most exciting as a photographer. You don't own that car, but that one rev of that, whatever car it is, let's say, a Porsche with naturally aspirated engine, and that rev, you can see that rev might change his life to that, and he kind of puts those dreams that I might own one day, or I might become a racing driver, or I might be, anything, so anything in life is possible. You just have to really set the goals and just believe it.
Well, we're going to be following Jed next and following him going around photographing or doing photography in a car meet. What's kind of suggestions and do's would you say for him to do at that car meet to learn?
Suggestions?
Yeah.
Match up the owner with the car. I think he would make a really nice portrait of the owner with the car, but I don't think that you should make a picture of exposing the entire car. So if these kind of Fast and Furious sitting on a bonnet kind of maybe with a owner, that maybe would be something more interesting, rather than just bunch of people around cars and then you're just trying to take a picture.
Having shadowed Reggie from RS Productions, I picked up a few little techniques when photographing cars, as well as seeing how his personality has influenced his style and appreciation for cars. Personally, when looking at cars, I tend to look for smaller and more niche parts or features, as these are often sentimental to the person that owns it and more likely has some sort of story. Before starting the project, I wanted to go visit a car meet to get a general feeling of what to expect and what type of people there are within these communities. However, it was tricky to find car meets being advertised, especially when it involves modified or performance cars. Delving deeper, it seems that there are two main sides when it comes to car culture, one of which is heavily underground. Recently, videos of the activities that occur at these events have surfaced, with illegal drag races on A roads near industrial estates, anti-social driving related to the loud exhaust, and even fatal accidents. While having car meets aren't illegal, the activity that takes place just for the fun and thrills create a bad image for car enthusiasts. The other side to car culture works alongside the local communities to hold static events. In other words, event hosts have a dedicated place where cars can park up together. There is no revving of engines, and there aren't any races that take place unless it is situated at a track where safety precautions are in place. We headed up to Caffeine and Machine in Stratford-upon-Avon to get an experience of a static car meet. It was a front-wheel drive themed event, so there was a plethora of cars to see from Ford Focus STs to imported Opels. Caffeine and Machine can be described as a hub for any motorized scene, from supercars to rat rods. It includes a bar, restaurant and boutique bed and breakfast, allowing for a diverse community to hang out and bond. As a documentary photographer, this is right up my alley to interact with people and get some great photographs without having to be an absolute petrolhead. Being able to have a conversation and tell a story is exactly what I need to get a grasp of what the community is about.
Well, I'm Rusty Senior, that's Rusty Junior. And if he's misbehaving, he's the gremlin.
So what do you think about people taking racing to the roads? I know it's not a great thing, but I mean people do.
I don't particularly think that it should go on, but basically it's the nuisance factor rather than the safety factor. You get the odd idiot that kills himself, but you know, you get the odd idiot that kills himself snowboarding or you know, whatever sport. At the end of the day, I can't say a lot against it. Having, when I was young, been involved in it. Street racing, I wouldn't say totally don't do it because nobody's going to do that. I think it needs to be done in appropriate places, really.
What do you think about car meets like this then? So it's like, obviously there's like the car community that's like into the whole racing thing, and then there's like meets like this where it's like all static, you know, like good food, good vibes. What do you think about it?
This is good, it serves its purpose, but then the other stuff that happens at car shows and car meets excites people because of the noise and the dangerousness and how fun it can be when it goes wrong.
It sounds exciting, but like obviously like the rest of the like people out there that aren't into cars, they obviously see like if there's people blocking off roundabouts and people are doing up and down drag strip type of thing.
It creates like a bad spec for this place because this is normal and then you only see the bad side of it. That's what gets put in the paper and that's what gets advertised.
I had a blast photographing a few builds at Caffeine and Machine. I was able to appreciate the effort that people put into their cars, especially after having a few conversations and taking their portraits. To take the project further, I remembered there were smaller groups of car enthusiasts, a scene that is relatively underground, but isn't into a lot of the illegal activity that occurs at street meets. This is where we met Molly and her Ford Focus. Because like the thing with like car meets and stuff is that the public find it as like a nuisance, they find it as like, oh, these people are like criminals almost type of thing.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
To be fair, I think everyone's going to try it. Like, everyone's speeded before. No one's driving perfectly. I think people should give us a location to go to so it's more controlled. So it's not just on, like, the streets and stuff, because then there'll be less accidents, less people complaining, so it's out of the way. Because I get why people do complain, because obviously it's noisy, there's loads of people around. But I think people should just, like, I don't know, work together on it, because people are going to do it no matter what, so why not just give them somewhere to do it out of the way?
Being like the comments like male predominant,
Yeah.
like how do you feel you fit in within that sort of group?
You get two sides. No, you get three sides. You get the people that actually support you. You get the people that are just there like, you know, you're a bit of a slag, like you're only here just to get with guys with cars. And you just get the people like, yeah, women can't drive, women shouldn't be around cars. That's literally all you ever get. There's no in between. It's just either one of those three categories.
Really?
Recently, a few mates that are all girls, me and them started a car group for females only, just so they can like learn, because obviously there's not really that much support out for females learning to build cars and stuff.
Also, now that you've started this sort of like little group, what are your, like, you've already got some goals, right? But like, how are you getting out there?
We have all of our social medias, so we have Instagram and Snapchat, and we're starting a Facebook as well. And we're all just putting it out there because we're all from different areas, like some are from Hertfordshire, some are from London. And then, so we're just sharing it among friends, and it's actually starting to get out there. Like, it was created about 4 days ago, and we've already got 200 followers, I think. So it's slowly
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's slowly starting to get out there, and then eventually, if we get enough, then the plan was to start making stickers and like start.
Oh, it's like a little merch. Do you think you're gonna be at that point where you like you know, like when you go into Snapchat or something and you got like that group chat and then you like drop in locations, that type of thing? Because I find those quite fun, just as long as they're not like crazy ones where like cars like come shooting out of car parks and stuff like that.
We said that if it does get somewhere, then it would be hosted at proper places. Like, we would hire out venues for it, just because would want it to be done properly, just so we don't get a bad name behind us. Just so we get like full support from communities as well.
Even though this was a short project, I enjoyed photographing something I wouldn't have explored on my own. I realised that like any other interest, it brings people together. For cars, it isn't just about how fast you can go. It's really about how unique and personal you can make your build. Some people will hate it, some people will love it. Either way, it gives you something to bond over. And this is what happens on our street.